In this video, let us discuss about the design of a purlin. So this is the question that is given. Design a purlin on a sloping roof truss with the load of 0.15 kilonewton per meter square. So the load is given per unit area. This load is due to claddings and insulation that is forming the roof. మనం పైన రూఫ్కి ఏదైతే వాడుతున్నామో మెటీరియల్ షీట్స్ని వాటి యొక్క లోడ్ అండ్ ఏ లైవ్ లోడ్ ఆఫ్ 2 kilonewton per meter square and wind load of 0.5 kilonewton per meter square are acting. These are the loads acting on this roof, and the purlins are 2 meter center to center distance and a span of 4 meter. So as I told you, this is a rafter as shown in this figure, and this is a rafter. These two are rafters, and the purlins are running through this along this rafters from one rafter to other. So this is the span of the purlin. This is span of purlin, which is given as 4 meter in this case, and the distance between two purlins is 2 meter center to center distance, and the slope of the roof is 20 degrees. So we have to design a channel section. Of course, there are 3 cases here. In the first case, we have to design a purlin with a channel section, that is C, and in the second case you have to design a channel purlin section along with sag rod at midsection and an angle section as a purlin. See here, this is a sag rod. This sag rod is very useful in controlling the movement in the purlin. So I said that there is a movement about z and y axis. There is a biaxial movement, and this sag rod is able to regulate or limit that movement in the purlin, right? So that is a good thing. And sometimes we use sag rod, only one sag rod per purlin, can be used more than that also. And as you can see here, we have so many number of rafters. Okay, purlins keep on running from along these rafters. See, this purlin can be seen as a simply supported, can be designed as a simply supported, or it can be designed as a continuous beam. If you consider that as simply supported, the moment due to load has to be WL square by 8 UDL load. And if it is considered to be as a continuous, you need to use an expression of WL square by 10 to calculate the maximum bending moment. Okay, these are the expressions to calculate maximum bending moment. You are aware of this WL square by 8, right? If a beam is subjected to a UDL over its entire span of length L, WL square by 8 is the expression for a simply supported case, right? If it is considered to be a continuous, WL square by 10 is to be used. If it is given in the question, you have to adopt that. If it is not given in the question, it's your wish. See, in this question it clearly mentioned that the purlins are simply supported on a rafter. That is, you have to use WL square by 8. Okay, if it is not given in the question, you can consider the purlins to be continuous, and you can use WL square by 10 to calculate the maximum bending moment. Okay, you will see where that is going to be happening. Okay, so as I told you, this is a rafter, this is the angle 20, and this axis perpendicular to the roof is YY, and axis parallel to the roof is ZZ. Okay, so movement is going to be about Z and about Y axis. And remember, the load that is acting on the purlin and everything all the load is going to be vertically downward, and moreover the wind load is also taken to be acting normal to this roof. Okay, we will see that, you will see that. So this is the simple truss, and I wanted to show you where these sag rods are going to be fixed if you are going to use them. See, this is the rafter, this is the rafter. I mean, this is a truss and this is a truss here. And see, this is the span. What is the span? From here to here it is 4 meter. So since 4 meter is the span of this purlin, there is a moment that is going to develop in my and mz about y and about z, and it is going to be very a little bit higher, right? So what we do is we put a simple rods. These are rods that pass across these purlins perpendicular to them, and each purlin is joined by the sag rods. These are the joints. Okay, these sag rods will limit the movement. Okay, see here in this case, in this particular case, this sag rod is exactly fixed at the center point of this purlin. In some cases, see, this is the rafter and this is the purlin. These two are the purlins. We may use two sag rods. This is L by 3 and this is L by 3 and this is L by 3. 1/3 distance lo anamata. Okay. And if you use two purlins, then movement is going to decrease by nearly 90%. And if you are going to use only one sag rod, the movement is going to be decreased by 75%. Okay, we are going to see that in calculation. Okay, come right. So let us start with the first thing, that is first step. So this is the case 1, guys. This is the case 1. Of course, this calculation of the load is common to all. So let us calculate that first. See, this is the dead load that is coming onto this roof. Coming onto this roof. I mean, you can say that, see here, on this particular stretch. Let me erase this for once. Yes, that would be good. See now. See, this entire area is being subjected to a load of 0.15 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, per meter square. So now if you see, ఈ పర్లిన్ అనేది టోటల్ లోడ్ తీసుకుని ఏం చేస్తుంది అంటే ఈ స్పాన్లో టాప్ స్పాన్లో హాఫ్ లోడ్ని, కింద స్పాన్లో హాఫ్ని తీసుకుంటుంది. దిస్ ఈజ్ వాట్ యూ హ్యావ్ డన్ ఇన్ యువర్ ఆర్సిసి ఆల్సో ఇన్ ది డిజైన్ ఆఫ్ స్లాబ్స్, రైట్? half. So what is the total span would be 2 meter, right? So here the load acting is, the load acting here is 0.5 kilonewton per meter square. So when you substitute this 2 meter, I mean if you multiply this with 2, you are going to get 1 kilonewton per meter. This is the load that is acting on this this purlin as UDL. So this is nothing but 1 kilonewton per meter. And similarly, we have live load 2 kilonewton per meter square. So multiply with the center to center distance of this purlins 2 and wind load in the same manner. So you get 0.3 kilonewton per meter, 4 and 1 kilonewton respectively. And these are denoted with WD, WL, WW. And now these are the unfactored loads. Of course, you know that. And see, the loads DL, LL acts vertically downward. Okay. DL plus live load. as I showed you in this image here, this dead load and live load acts vertically downward. Okay, considered to be acting normal to the surface, normal to the surface in all the time, right? Dead load and live load components normal to the roof will be acting on XX plane, Z plane. So we put Z as suffix to it. And these are the components parallel to the roof. They act parallel to the roof. Therefore, we denote with WDY and WLY. And of course, they are perpendicular to YY plane. So we denote with Y as suffix. So these two compounds are to be accordingly resolved. See, these are the normal components, YDZ, and this, as you can see, this YDZ components are actually perpendicular to this roof, and parallel ఉన్నవి ఏంటంటే Y components. So this is the rafter, and this angle is 20. So this angle is going to 20, and this is cos component, cos theta, and this is sine component. So this Y components on the Y plane, అంటే Y plane కి perpendicular గా యాక్ట్ అవుతున్న లోడ్స్ అన్నీ కూడా sine theta components, as you can see, and normal to the roof are cos components. So dead load 0.3, దాని యొక్క cos component 0.282, and live load Y sine component, and live load 4 cos 20 and 4 sine 20, and calculate them. So now you know these two forces 0.282 and 3.76 are the dead load and live load components acting normal to the roof, normal to the Z plane, you can say that, right? And 0.103, 1.37 are the loads acting on the purlin parallel to the roof or along the roof. So now one more load is remaining, that is wind load. Wind load is also taken to be acting perpendicular to the roof, normal to the roof. So that is in this combined in this. So now, since we know each individual components in direction, we have to find out the factored load. So you know, when in Z axis, in Z direction, in Z plane, or in Z axis direction, WL plus dead load and live load. So factor of partial safety factor is going to be 1.2. Of course, you know this, or you can just refer this code book, or it is also available in our 456 also. So now on calculation, we got 6.0552, and we have another combination also that we can consider, that dead load and live load. If dead load and live load are used, is the combination are acting, 1.5 will be the factor, and it is going to be this. So these are the two loads, and the maximum load is to be taken for calculating the moment mz. Okay, so what is the greater value? This. So this is the value that you have to take. So the moment due to the 6.0552 kilonewton per meter is taken to be the moment mz. Okay, so why is that? See here, this is the section, and this is the Y, and this is the Z. Of course, this is the rafter. This is the rafter. Okay, so when this load is acting perpendicular to this roof, are perpendicular to Z plane, what happens is this purlin is going to bend in this way, right? When it is bending, about which axis is it going to bend? About Z axis, isn't it, right? See, if there is an axis here, Z, and this is the purlin, it is going to bend in this way because of this load, isn't it? Which is acting normal to the roof. So you calculate the moment due to this. And similarly, in y direction also we have this, right? So this is the dead load and this is the live load, which we have calculated here. And 1.5 is the factor, since only dead load and live load is used. Okay, wind load is not here because wind load is considered to be acting normal to the roof. Kabatti. Okay, 2.21. That's right. Now, MZ simply supported, right? Since purlin is simply supported on rafter from question, WL square by 8. So WZ and ikkada, you get this equation. And of course, find out the shear force FZ also, WL by 2. Isn't it right? Simply supported. So this is the WZ load and this is L. So what is the maximum bending moment? WZ L square by 8, and maximum shear force is going to be W into L divided by 2. So this is it. And y direction My, Fy. Okay, if it is taken to be continuous, WL square by 10 is to be used. Step 2, selection of section and its classification. Of course, as you know, this is the expression, and I have considered a section whose overall head height is 200 and width of the flange is 75. Okay, remember this is the channel section and this is taken 200 and this as 75. So on substituting the values of H, B and MZ, My and all this, we are going to get ZB, Z as 1.12 into 10 to the power of 6 into 1.1 divided by 250, and of course substitute the remaining values and you get ZPZ as 183 into 10 to the power of 3 mm cube. And from annexure H of IS 800, let's choose an IMC Indian Standard Medium section, channel section 200 at 0.22 kilonewton per meter self weight with the plastic section modulus about Z axis 211 into 10 to the power of 3 mm cube, and ZPY, which is equals to 56.339 into 10 to the power of 3 mm cube. And remember, only ZPZ value is available from the code IS 800 annexure H, and ZPY value is also to be used in the calculation of movement, and it is important to calculate ZPY value also. Actually, we have discussed to calculate this ZPY value for a channel's I section in our unit 2. Okay, if you did not watch that video, please go through that. And similarly, the ZPY value of this channel section also can be calculated. So this is the section, channel section, right? This is the ZZ and this is the YY axis in this case, right? So you find out the location. This is nothing but plastic neutral axis. You find the location of plastic neutral axis and the distance and do the remaining calculation similar to I section. Of course, in this particular case, I'm directly noting down this value ZPY value as 56.33 into 10 to the power of 3 mm cube. But I'm going to post a short video on the calculation of ZPY value of this particular channel section. Okay, I do not want to include in this particular session, so it going to be a long lecture. Okay, so just limit our video time. So now this is this value. So from the code book, I can get ISMC 200 section parameters. Its area, HBF, and everything, right? Everything. And here, see, this is Z, EZ. This here, E represents elastic. Z, section modulus, about Z axis. Okay, this ZEZ అంటే elastic section modulus about Z. Okay, EY అంటే elastic section modulus about Y axis. Okay, these two are available from code. Okay, and next IZZ and IYY, these are also available from the code. Okay, only ZPY value has to be calculated. Now section classification, B by TF and D by TW. Of course, if you have already gone through the previous videos, previous lectures, you know how to classify a section into plastic, semi-compact, compact, and slender. So since these are the case, the section is plastic.